Welcome back to part 4 of a 6-part series. This is Will Brooks and my mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn. In today's video, we will style the figure element, which includes the image. We will see and learn the difference between width 100% versus max width 100% and recommend which is better for images. We will also make the heading responsive so it looks good on computers as well as mobile devices. So let's dive right in. So in order to make the H1 responsive, again, we're going to do add media. Let's do one M right there, add media. And then bracket max width, colon. And I'm going to put pixels in right now, but we're going to change it to rem soon. So remember what this means, okay? That means once the screen goes from a large screen to a small screen, as soon as it hits 512 pixels or less, things are going to change. So curly bracket, and then we're going to do H1 because that's what H1 is what we're going to be changing. Again, curly bracket, and now, again, I want to change this to, I want the border to turn green when it hits there. So let's just copy and paste this, and we're going to get rid of these borders later. So it's copy and let's paste it right here. And okay, good. So once it hits at 512 pixels or less, the border is going to go for that border around micro bracket is going to go from blue to green. So we know that it hit. And then we want to change the font size. Basically, I want to make the font size smaller because it's going to be a smaller viewport, smaller screen. And we're going to change the font size from 4 rem, that's 40 pixels, to 3.5 rem to 35 pixels. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to change the line height. Remember, the line height was at 1.5, and we want to change that when it gets to the smaller screen. We want to change that to 1.2. Now, just a refresher on that line height. Remember, I don't have a value here on the line height. So let me just increase that a bit. There, oh, too much. Okay, you can see that. Let me pull that open a little bit. Great, so you can see it a little bit better. Now on the line height, I don't have a value here. I left it blank. That means that it's going to pull from the font above it. The font size is 35 pixels. So you take the 35 pixels, 3.5 rem is 35 pixels times 1.2 comes out to 42 pixels. So when it hits that breakpoint of 512 pixels or less, the Michael Brecker font is going to change. The font is going to change to 35 pixels. And there'll be 7 pixels left over. 3.5 pixels will go on top and 3.5 pixels will go below. So let's make that full screen again. Okay, there we go. And let's go back here. So now let's test that out. So let's save that and test it out. So we're going to pull this back here. And then let's go slower. So once we hit that breakpoint of 512 pixels, the border around here is going to turn green. The Michael Brecker font's going to get smaller, and the line height is going to get smaller as well. So wait for it. It's coming soon. There we go. It turned green. The font got smaller. The line height got smaller. You see, everything got smaller because if you're on a phone, you want that to be smaller. You don't want it to be that big. And if we scroll down, see, it still looks great. It looks great. It will look really good on a phone. Everything looks perfect. You can read it. We haven't even touched down here yet because this is pretty sloppy. We haven't styled it yet. So that looks great. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Let's pull it open a bit now. Fantastic. So we finished with H1. The next thing we want to do is we want to go into the image of the tenor sax, but it's going to be another box as well, which I'll show you next. So now we're going to style the figure. Now remember, the figure incorporates the image and the right down here, the fig caption. Okay, so let's go back to our index.html and let's put a class there. So we have the figure right here. I'm going to highlight it. Let me just open this and make it larger. Okay, good, so we can see it better. Now let's highlight the figure. It goes from, let's see, from here all the way to here. And notice again, like it says, it's got the image inside there. And then it has the fig caption, the kind of the snippet, what the figure is about. So we're going to do a class here by figure, class equals parentheses, and we're going to call this fig-div. Okay, fig-div. We got that in there. Now let's go back to our style. Let's style this. So let's first put dot, because we put a class, fig-div, and then space, curly brackets. So now what we want to do here is we want to I want to put the background and make that white the background, and then I want to put some padding in there and get rid of the margin. So first, like I always want to do, I want to create a border, and so you can see where the box is. So let me minimize this to the left, and there's our figure right here. So let's create that border, and let's see what color. Let's use dark orange this time. So let me just copy this green border here, and let's see. Let's copy it, and then let's just paste it right down here. And then I'm going to change that solid green to dark orange just for a change. Okay, so dark orange. There we go, dark orange. Let me open this up. So our figure element basically encaptures this whole picture, and right below it, it's got the breaker playing the sax. It also incorporates the fig caption here, like that. All right, let's minimize this. So next, remember we talked about inspect. I want to go to inspect, and let's take a look at what the margin is right now. So let's go back in here, and let's hit inspect, and then let's open this up. And now we got to make sure that we click on. We got to get to figure. So if you don't click on figure, it's going to show the wrong thing. So figure right there, figure. We're going to click on that there, and I'm going to scroll down to that box. You see the box right down there? And let's click on the margin. So let me move this down a bit. So if I click on the margin, you can see that it's got 16 pixels top and bottom and 40 pixels left and right. It's bringing that picture in. That's the margin. Remember, the margin is outside of this orange border. That's the margin. The padding is inside of this orange border. So the margin is 16 top, 40 left and right, top and bottom. The border, of course, I put in is 0.5 or 5 pixels. And there's no padding there, and then that's the middle right there. So I want to get rid of the border. I'm sorry, I want to get rid of the margin. So we're going to take the margin out. The picture's going to grow bigger, and I want to put a little bit of padding in here. So we're going to put a little bit of padding in there, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. So let's go back here, and let's just X out of here, and then let's open this up so we can see what we're doing. So it looks bigger. There we go. So we've got the border on there, and next, I'm going to put in the background. So background color is going to be, we're going to do white. Okay, background is white. And then we're going to put a padding of 10 pixels all around. So padding. And we're going to do, so 10 pixels all around is going to be 1 rem, right? 1 rem. And remember, if it's only one value in padding, that means it's top, right, bottom, and left. It encompasses everything. And then the last thing I want to do is get rid of the margin. So margin, we're going to set at 0. And then let's see what that looks like. Let's minimize this and go back here. So you can see that the margin is gone. Now the padding, you see that the margin's gone, so the picture got bigger. Now look here, see the white? That's the padding right there. It kind of expanded. So the padding is 10 pixels. You can see here 10 pixels. Let's open this up. 10 pixels, 10 pixels. Let's go back into inspect, and we should see that there. And let's go back down here. Make sure you click on fig, not caption, but fig class right there. Make sure you click on fig class. If it's clicked on like H1 or like up here or something, it's not going to show the correct thing. Okay, now scroll down, and then our margin is 0. You see that? We have no more margin. It's gone. The border, if you look down here, is 5 pixels because I put that in there. It's 0.5 rem. And then look, the padding is 10. So you see the green going around the picture. That's the padding because it's going from the inside out. And that's 10 pixels. And that's going to take on that white background color of white. And then there's the content right there. So let's come out of here. And then let's minimize this. Fantastic. So you can see we have white. I'm going to keep this border here for a little bit. You have white around here, and the fig caption, it kind of shares the space here with the padding as well. Okay, so that's it with the fig div. Now we're going to style the image itself. So let's go to our index.html, and we need to add a class to the image tag. But first, when we first did this in the first video, we added a width of 100% to the image so that it wouldn't spill over and make it easier to code. We're going to delete that because we're going to style this next. So I'm going to delete that, and you're going to notice on the right side that the picture spills over, and you got that scroll bar, the ugly scroll bar at the bottom. That's okay. So now let's go to image, And let's put in our class, and class equals parentheses, and we're going to call this fig-img. Okay, so we have that class in there now. And now let's go back to CSS and let's put that class in here. So dot fig-img space curly bracket, and we are in business. The first thing we want to do is add max width to reel that bad boy in. Max width, and we're going to put 100% here. And notice the picture will come back in. So let me explain a little bit about what max width. Sometimes people get max width 100% and width 100%. What's the difference? Well, first of all, max width 100% will cause the image to shrink to fit the space that it has. Now, it could be less than 100%. That's okay. But the image with max width 100% will not stretch any larger than its natural size, so it won't distort the image. If the viewport's really large, the image will not get larger than what the image specs are. Whereas with 100%, it will get larger. It will fit the viewport every time. So I have a little demonstration at the bottom here that I created to show you what that's going to look like. Now this image is actually smaller than the viewport when it's the full size. So I'll show you that in a second. So if you look here, I have width 100%, and then I have max width 100% underneath that. But the max width is commented out. It's green on my screen, so you're not going to see that. It's not going to do that function. So width 100%. Let's look at that first. I'm going to open the screen up, and you can see that it takes up the whole screen. Now this is a smaller image, so it's not supposed to take, it's actually smaller than the whole screen. But you can see that it doesn't distort it as much. It's not really distorted. So it depends on the image. Some images will distort, some images won't distort. But I definitely like to go with max width 100% because you do not want your image to be distorted. This one looks okay. So now let's go here and let's comment out the width 100%, and I'll just do command on the Mac, command /, or you can just do / asterisk and then asterisk /. So now let's get rid of the other comment out on max width. So now let's take a look at what max width 100% looks like. I'm going to open up the screen, and you can see that it goes right in the middle because we have it centered in the middle, but it's smaller than the viewport screen, so it's not going to grow any larger because it's a smaller image. So it's always going to stay that size no matter how big the screen gets or the monitor gets. So that's basically the difference. I recommend using max width 100% when you're coding so that you don't have the chance of distorting the image. Now let's talk about inline elements and block elements. Inline elements do not start on a new line. For example, our strong tag, when we highlighted the dates, they started on the same line. They didn't go to a different line. Whereas block elements take up the whole width, and then the next thing takes up the next line. So we want to change this to display block because we want to be able to style the height, and also inline elements do not have a top and bottom margin. We want to be able to style the top and bottom margin of this image. So with the block item, we can add height now, and we're going to add the height. Don't mix this up with line height. This is different than line height. This is the height of the image, and we're going to just set that to auto. And what that means is that the content inside will grow to what is needed, no more or no less. And then in order to center the image, we're going to do margin, because we can do margin now. And with the margin, we're going to do 0 and auto. So 0 is going to be the top and bottom, and then auto is going to be the right and left. Remember, if we only have two values on margin, the first value is the top and the bottom, and the second value is the right and the left. So we have that, and that's all we're going to do with the image. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. It should be good. Yep, looks very good. Okay, so we're centered. Picture looks good. And the last thing we want to do in the figure is to style the caption, which is Brecker playing the saxophone. We want to bring that in the middle. We want to bring that down a little bit. It's a little bit tricky, but I'll show you how we do that. We want to center that. Thank you for watching part 4 of the coding project. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if this has been helpful so far, please remember to subscribe and hit the like button. We will continue styling the HTML code in part 5, so see you there!